Welcome into the Skinny Podcast. It's the weekly Potpourri edition. I'm Richard Skinner, Local12.com digital sports columnist and editor with Rick Broering. As always, it's presented by Blake the Attorney Mason. We got college basketball underway. It's a weird college football week. We're actually UC is not playing and the Bengals are not playing in the NFL, but we've got some Bengals to talk about as well, our gambling segment, and so much more. So, Rick, let's get right to it.
Yeah, nice weekend for the local TV guys that don't have to be doing UC or the Bengals in the same weekend. That's pretty strong, double bye week. Skinny, the Bengals, big story this week was the trade deadline passing at 4 p.m. on Tuesday. The Bengals did trade linebacker Logan Wilson to the Cowboys for a 7th-round pick in the upcoming draft. So we'll start there. Are you surprised that that's all that they could get for Logan Wilson?
No, the best thing you got for Logan Wilson is you unloaded his contract. I mean, he was on the books for 2026 and 2027 at a $6 million base salary for each year. So you were able to unload that. I think that's the biggest thing. And you got something in return. You weren't going to get any more than that in return, in my opinion. So it was the right thing to do on many fronts. They want these rookie linebackers to take a leadership role, and it's kind of hard to do that when a guy who's a captain's a couple of lockers away, and it just felt awkward the last week plus since Logan asked for the trade. And I don't mean that to sound that Logan made it awkward, because he didn't. He's just not that type of guy. But it was the right thing to do. If you're moving forward with the rookies and you want them to start to become leaders, then I think this was the thing to do.
I buy that. I buy that having the veteran in the room who maybe they looked up to or was maybe helping them and showing them the ropes early on gets awkward when he's no longer the guy, but you don't necessarily want to speak up because you're kind of the understudy still. It's a weird thing. I believe all of that. But here's the only problem or question I have about it is I keep hearing they want the young guys to be the leaders. Well, the young guys stink right now. That's the other part about being a leader. You actually have to be good to be able to speak up and say something to your teammates. And that's the part I think everyone just keeps glossing over is these young guys haven't taken hold of the position. They haven't been any good. They're not leaders. So while I have no issue with trading Logan Wilson because I think he was long in the tooth, the Bengals had moved on from him. So I'm totally fine getting the contract off the books. I keep hearing this narrative being put out there of these young guys are now going to step into a leadership role because Logan's out the door. It's they might go out and miss 10 more tackles this Sunday and no one's going to want to hear a word they have to say.
That's the problem on that side of the ball at the moment. You don't have anybody making plays outside of DJ Turner, and he's a quiet guy. That's a big problem.
Yeah. And here's the other part of this, I guess. Again, not saying they needed to keep Logan Wilson in any shape or form. That's not what I'm getting at here, but I do just wonder about this current plan. Do you think Demetrius Knight and Barrett Carter will both be starting for this team next year on opening day?
That's a great question. I'm going to defer to see what happens over the last 8 games, because I do think guys improve at different levels and different paces and different speeds where, maybe it's 3 more games for Barrett Carter and it's the whole rest of this season for Demetrius Knight or even early into next season. So I'm going to defer to – I want to see it. Now we're going to see them take they were basically taking all the snaps anyway. But now I want to see 8 more games of this for these two guys. They're still very, very young in their career. At this point of Jermaine Pratt's rookie season, this is the part where he started for the first time. Logan Wilson started, I think, 2 games as a rookie and didn't become a full-time starter until the next year. And so if you'd asked the question of those two guys, the jury was still very much out. And I think it's fair to still be out on these two guys.
And that's totally fair. I agree with that. And you do need to see the rest of the season before you're making those types of guesses. But, Skinny, do you see where I'm getting at with this? As of we're going down this path now of, hey, these guys are the future. They're ready. We've seen nothing from them that suggests that they're actually going to make this defense good in the near future. So I'm a little bit concerned about this idea of we're moving on with these two guys. We're moving on with these two guys. And they go into next year and these guys just continue basically playing the same way they've been playing to this point. It's that's not a good plan for next year for how to fix this defense.
No, it's a legit concern. I don't think PFF grades are the be all end all, but they are something to look at. If you go by the PFF grades, I don't even know if you're aware of this because you're talking into your own narrative here. Demetrius Knight is the 80th ranked linebacker out of 82 in the NFL, and Barrett Carter's 82nd of 82.
Right. That's the one thing is there seems to be 2 things going on right now. There's what's actually happening on the field, and then there's this narrative that we're all kind of following, media and coaches alike, outside what's actually happening with the games. And we keep talking about this linebacker narrative as if it's going well, as if it's this is smooth. This is a
it's not
transfer of power, and we're going to keep rolling with this. And I don't understand why everyone's okay with that, because it doesn't seem like a good idea right now.
Well, I think everyone's okay with it because it is what it is. I mean, there's no other alternative at the moment. I mean, there can be an alternative next year, to your point, if you don't think this is going right, by either drafting another one or going into free agency. But my lands, you need a whole new safety room. You need at least one corner. Honestly, you could take the whole group of defensive linemen and wash them out, and it wouldn't hurt my feelings, and go get a bunch of new. I mean, you got so much to overhaul on that side of the football.
Right. No doubt about it. I mean, you almost have to stick with something after this year.
Correct.
Of like, okay, we've got the most faith in this position group. We're going to stick with them and just try to shore up everything around them. So maybe that will end up being the linebacker room. But like, as of right now, I think the linebackers are as big of a disaster as anything else on this
absolutely.
defense. The defensive line is horrible. The safeties are horrible, but so are these linebackers.
I mean, the only one who's playing at a I don't even want to call it, it's more than capable, at elite levels, DJ Turner. I mean, they traveled him with Rome Odunze on Sunday. You know how many catches Rome Odunze had?
Do you have one?
None.
Zero? Yeah.
No targets, no catches. And this is, DK Metcalf had that one long ball against him in that Thursday game. And after that, I think he had 3 other catches for like 14 yards. I mean, this dude's turning into an elite corner.
Yeah, he's been fantastic. And what you were about to say was actually right, too. He is playing at close to an elite level or an elite level, but he's the only one on the team that's playing at a passable level right now on the defensive side. Why do you think Trey Hendrickson wasn't traded?
I don't know.
Let me rephrase that. What's the value in keeping him the rest of this year?
There is none, in my opinion. It's
Agreed.
them. I know Paul Dehner Jr. wrote in The Athletic, and I don't think he's wrong, that they're not going to surrender on a season at any point, and they still think they can get back into this thing, and they're not waving the white flag, and that's fine if that's the narrative that he believes, or that they would put out there if they talk to people. Then why did you not go get players to help now? Why did you not go add to the safety room, add a pass rusher, add a defense, add something? Instead, you literally stood pat, other than making Logan Wilson a happy guy by trading him away. So literally you did nothing. And I know they could argue, well, if we let him walk in free agency and the best offer we got was a 3rd-round pick. Let's just throw that out there. I don't know what the best offer was. They were supposedly still asking for ones, and nobody was going to give them a 1st-round pick for Trey Hendrickson. So that was a pipe dream. Let's just say the best they got was a 3rd-round offer back, and they could
Why would you take that?
Well, I'm with you, but they could say to you, well, if we let him walk in free agency, we'll get a 3rd-round compensatory pick back for that anyway. So what's the point? To which I would say, you're going to sign so many free agents next offseason, or you have to, that you're going to wipe out any compensatory picks you're going to get in return for any of your free agents. So that ship had sailed. So to answer your question, it's because, Rick, they don't know what they're doing. Simple as that.
I mean, really, I'm not trying to go too hard on the Trey Hendrickson thing, but I can't understand a world at this point. You've clearly decided we're kind of waving the white flag. We're not going to compete this season. I don't understand how next year, given everything that you have to do with this defense, how you could justify bringing back Trey Hendrickson's contract for another year, or an extended deal like he wants. And also after an injury bout that he's had this year. That's and him getting even older, why would you even consider spending that much money on him when you need so many other positions shored up? Yeah, no,
I mean, they're looking smarter and smarter for not giving him that guaranteed deal, right?
Yes.
Because, and I mentioned this at the time, you get to your 30s, man, that first injury hits and it feels like it just doesn't go away. And people can say he's making business decisions. I don't believe that. I do believe he tried to do them a solid by coming back and after missing a game and playing a game and not playing it at 100% and then re-injuring it, re-aggravating it. So what do you think he's going to do now? There's going to be so much doubt in his mind of, I'm not going out there until I'm 100,000%. I'm not going to embarrass myself as a player or push through this injury. So what even kind of player are you going to get out of Trey Hendrickson over the last 8 games anyway? That's the thing. I mean, he's like, you said he's not making business decisions, but at this point, he is going to make a business decision. Right. And he's not going to play probably the rest of the year, or definitely not until he's like 1,000% healthy and he can't feel any bruises or sneezes or sniffles. Or I don't blame him. No, right. There's nothing to play for this year. You've got to the only thing that now you get a little worried about is he didn't produce at all when he was on the field this year, and now he's hurt. So is there any bit of he and his agent feeling like he needs to get back on the field to show he's still Trey Hendrickson for next offseason to collect more money? I don't think that happens until he's 100%.
Agreed. Need like the last week or two probably just for him to show himself of like, yeah, I'm right. I'm good.
I don't. It could come as early as this next game for all I know. I just don't.
I don't think that's going to happen.
Hip back injury. I don't know how bad it is. All I know is he hurt it, left the game in Green Bay, didn't play the next game, tried to come back, hurt it again, didn't play this last game, and so is the bye week all he needs to get rest? We'll find out when we see the first injury report of next week on Wednesday where he stands with that injury. So back to your initial question, there's no logical sense for that. I mean, I guess you could argue tag and trade him. Those just don't happen anymore in the league. They just don't.
Yeah, no one's doing that. Again, quit being caught in between.
Right.
Make a decision, decide what your path is, and then follow through on that plan. And the Bengals never seem to want to do that. They always want to kind of like half-ass the plan or kind of do the plan, but still, hey, we're actually still competitive this year. We're going to keep. No, you're not. The season's over. You should be getting rid of any parts you can that are worth of anything and that are costing you any money to try to reload for this defense for next season. That should be the only plan. And you keeping Trey Hendrickson on your roster this year completely goes against that concept.
Correct. No, again, I go back to, I'll say it slowly again. They don't know what they're doing.
Now, the one thing I will say, obviously, they're out of it at this point, so they shouldn't have been trading to try to add players. I don't think.
But my point was, if the reason you kept Trey Hendrickson is because you held that belief as an organization, well, okay, if that was your belief, then you did need to go add to your roster.
Right. I'm switching gears here. I know some fans were like, why didn't they do more? Why didn't they try to go get a big name defender or something like that to help fix the situation? I don't think they should have been doing that because they're already out of it. It doesn't make any sense. So I'm not railing against that. But I also think one thing that is worth keeping in mind for fans, everyone is always like, oh, trade deadline's coming. Go make a move. Go get someone. When you look at all the trades that happened after they're already done, now trade deadline's come and gone. Ultimately, Joe Flacco's probably like as impactful of a trade or right there under Sauce Gardner maybe as was made in the entire NFL this year. Yep. So not to point out that the Bengals did right or did wrong, but just like everyone talks about making these trades that are going to change your team. And as it turns out, there's like 2 or 3 of those trades that actually happen. Everyone else is just a milquetoast whatever type of trade.
Correct. Yeah.
Skinny, we're talking about where the Bengals are at now after this last loss. How do you view this season now? What makes it worth watching for Bengals fans? What are you looking for at this point?
Well, I mean, I guess I'm looking for the 2 rookie linebackers to start playing better and start making some progress. And I want to put Shamar Stewart in that mix, but he's just been so bad. He's been exactly what we thought he was. And I know it's a small sample size. That's probably not fair because he's missed time by injury, but he literally has been exactly what we thought he was. And the whole thing continues to lead me down the path of how is Duke Tobin still employed? I mean, his draft since 2021, for the most part, have been an unmitigated disaster. Jackson Carman, 2nd rounder. Zach Carter, remember him? 3rd round defensive end from Florida. They tried to make into a 3-technique defensive tackle. Not so good, my friend. Jermaine Burton and McKinley Jackson, 2 third-rounders from last year who can't even get on the field. I'm doing this off the top of my head because I'm going to miss somebody probably obvious along the way. Miles Murphy, 1st rounder in 2023, dud. And honestly, PFF-wise, your first 3 picks from this year are all duds. Chris Jenkins, 2nd-round pick from last year, is a dud. Well, I mean, when are you going to hit? And don't give me, well, he hit on Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase. You know what?
Is that the last good draft, though?
Jamar Chase. What's that?
Is that the last good draft?
The Burrow, Higgins, Logan Wilson was probably the last good one, and you only have 2 of those guys left on your roster at the moment.
Right. Yeah, I couldn't have said it better. Do you think fans should be hoping for it to get as ugly as possible so that, 1, they get the best draft positioning, and 2, there's a higher likelihood of there being some type of change in the front office? Or would you rather see the defense make strides and they finish 6-11?
I don't think they're capable of it. The personnel, the sample size now is too big. And listen, you can point to Al Golden all you want. That's fine. I'm not going to tell you he's not culpable because he's the defensive coordinator. But you thought it was the coordinator, man. The front office thought the coordinator is the issue. Let's go ahead and make this change. How's that worked out for you? So at that point now, it's not just the sample size of these first 9 games. And there's a couple of different parts. The 2 rookie linebackers, TJ Slayton, who's been a dud. you basically ran it back with the same dudes, thinking you were going to get a different result with a new voice and new concepts in the room, and you haven't. So at that point, you got a large sample size of these players suck.
Even worse than that, Skinny, they didn't run it back with the same group. They got younger, less experienced. I mean, they really did. I've said this since before the season started. It's arguable that they got worse at the few positions they need to get better at defense going into this year.
No, that's a fair point.
That's a legit argument. And that was that way going into the year. It wasn't like this was a shock. You could see it coming from a mile away. Like, hey, their plan was to ask a guy who they thought so little of that he needed to take a pay cut to be their leader in the safety group. That was like the standout guy that they had.
And listen, I've had this question asked to me 1,000 times. Why not give one of they don't believe in the backups that they can play safety at all unless it's a complete emergency
special teamers
injury. Yeah, they don't trust them to be on the field on defense. And so in the offseason, you knew that in the offseason, and yet you did nothing to help that room. Not a damn thing.
Yeah, I do think someone should be held accountable. Everyone talks about the Duke Tobin stuff, and you can go back and forth on, is it his fault or not? It clearly is his fault at some level. And somebody absolutely should be held accountable for the plan at safety going into this season.
Yes.
It's like inexcusable. Someone they have to look down the line and say, whose call was this at the end of the day to decide to go run it back with these dudes?
Yeah, I don't know the answer to this because you'd never get the honest answer to it. Because Al Golden has spoken glowingly of all those players at some point, which at some point it makes you look stupid. And I like Al a lot on a personal level. I don't know if Al Golden came in and watched tape and said, no, I think we're good there. If that's on him, shame on him. I don't believe it was on him. I can't believe he looked at that safety play and go, I can make this better back there. Because the thing is, you didn't have depth, and there's no way. There's no film on Tyson Anderson. There was very little film on Dejon Anthony, who's been on the PUP or the IR all season long. And PJ Jules was a practice squad guy. So there wasn't enough film on them to go, yeah, I'm okay if we run it back with Gino and Jordan as the two starters and Tyson and either Dejon or PJ Jules as the back. I mean, PJ Jules played his way onto the roster by what he did in training camp because Dejon Anthony got hurt. So I can't believe Al Golden had enough film to go, yeah, I'm good there. That had to be above him by a mile.
It's also not the responsibility of the first-time NFL defensive coordinator who's excited to be getting that job. What's he going to do? Come in and be like, no, you got to give me better players. These guys all suck. I can't possibly coach this.
Right.
No, he just wanted to get the job. He's going to tell you he can make anything work. That's not your job as the GM, which the Bengals don't have. I guess Duke Tobin is to give him the players to succeed. It's not his job to tell you, no, this is good in my first year. I'm okay with this.
And again, you drafted Miles Murphy in the first round, who should be a starter by now, and literally is just horrendous.
Shout out to my guy Joseph Osai.
Shamar Stewart this year because you stopped believing a little bit in Miles Murphy that you needed some more depth at that position. You re-signed Joseph Osai out of complete necessity. You re-signed B.J. Hill to just an idiotic contract at age 30 where he's still on the books for 2026 and 2027 for $6 million and $8 million. I mean, I'm still trying to figure that one out.
That's a terrible contract. I mean, really, Jay Morrison put this graphic out there, but top 3 in the NFL in missed tackles right now, as we sit here today. Jordan Battle, number 1 with 15. Demetrius Knight with 14. And then Geno Stone is 4th out of that group with 13.
Yep.
3 of the top 4 guys in missed tackles.
It's and listen, this was a problem last year too. So again, it's not a matter of, well, they can tackle more in training camp and be. For starters, you can't tackle in the regular season because the CBA doesn't allow it. Once the regular season starts, there's no tackling in practice allowed. So if you're wondering why don't they tackle in practice, it's not allowed. Could you have done more in training camp? Yeah, probably could. I think they need to be a little more physical in camp than what they are. I don't think they need to kill each other like they did in the olden days, but I do think you need to be a little bit more physical. But these guys didn't tackle last year. What made you suddenly think they were going to become good tacklers?
There was nothing to make that the case. I mean, there's no reason you should have thought that going into the year.
I mean, that play on Colston Loveland was embarrassing.
Oh, really? You went back-to-back weeks seeing the most inexcusable losses you'll ever witness as an NFL fan of a team, and you saw them in back-to-back weeks with this team. It was just absolutely brutal. So going back to the original question, you are on the boat of this team basically. Everyone hates this word, but they should be tanking. If you're a fan, you should want this to be as ugly as possible, right?
Tanking isn't the right word.
They won't be trying to do that, but as a fan, that's what you should want, essentially.
Correct. I think as a fan, you should root for the chaos.
Yeah, I want it to be as ugly as possible.
I mean, it took a lot of years of chaos in the 90s into the early 2000s to finally make a change and bring in a Marvin Lewis and allow him to have a voice in the room. But now it feels like Duke Tobin has wrestled a lot of authority away that maybe he and Marvin shared, and he's trying to make his stamp on it, and his stamp isn't going so well at the moment because the draft since Marvin's been gone, and maybe Zach Taylor and his staff are culpable of this too, but somebody has the final say, and it is Duke Tobin who has the final say. Maybe a collaboration on scouting, and, a coach has his opinion, a scout has his opinion. Duke has the final say on this stuff, and it hasn't gone well. And so at what point do you have to say, listen, I know you were the architect of some good teams, but you're not any longer, and you don't get another swing at this. You had the last 4 or 5 years to have people on this roster on rookie contracts when we knew the payday was coming for Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase and T. Higgins and Trey. Well, you didn't know it until the last few years. And Trey Hendrickson. You needed guys on rookie contracts to perform, and now you're going to have to go in the offseason and spend a whole lot more money again to try to get this thing right.
Yeah, and can we stop acting like getting Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase was some genius work of roster management? Like, everyone in the world was going to take those two guys.
Well, or listen, it was down to Jamar Chase or Penei Sewell, and the way Penei Sewell's career is gone, you couldn't have gone wrong either way you went with that one.
Right, exactly. So the whole thing of like he built this great roster in the first place is kind of a bogus narrative. I mean, great for what you did, but you should have had more than a 2-year window with Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase and T. Higgins all on rookie deals.
Go look at the draft since 2021. Just go look at them. They're a joke.
What did you make of Logan Wilson? Going back to that real quick. Last thing here. What did you make of him doing that farewell letter and mentioning everyone that's ever picked up a towel inside the Bengals locker room, but leaving Zach Taylor off of it?
It's weird. Yeah, that's weird to me. I'll be honest with you. I don't think there's a rift. I mean, Logan
there has to be now, right?
There has to be. Yeah, I just didn't think there was one, to be honest with you. I mean, it was Zach's call to pull him out of the starting lineup and put Barrett Carter in. That part I know because he's told us that it was his decision to make, and maybe that was the final straw for Logan. Of you're taking me out of the lineup for this guy. To hell with you, then, man. For all I've done for you. I guess I get that part of it. It sounds like a little butthurt in my opinion.
But if you're Logan Wilson and you've watched the way these rookies have played the last few weeks since you've been pulled out of the lineup, I feel like you have permission to be butthurt.
Yeah, maybe. I got to tell you.
I'm not saying he's right. I get why Zach's doing what he's doing.
I think he stinks anymore. I don't think
I do too.
And I think the point of putting the rookies in is a couple of fold. I think it's also, in my opinion, Zach thumbing his nose at the front office and going, look what you've given me, and I'm going to play these two guys to hell with it, okay? Look what you've given me. I'm going to just put these two kids together and let them sink or swim together. I truly think that's what it is.
But you can totally see how, from his perspective, he's sitting there going, I'm still better than these guys. You thought I was the problem? Look what I had around me.
He was a part of the problem.
He was. Of course, we know that. But from his perspective, if he's looking at it subjectively, which he will be because it's from his perspective, he's going to be looking at it and go, you thought I was the problem. You pulled me out and you got even worse at that position. These rookies can't play at all. So I could see where he'd be pissed about it all, but there's no doubt about it. He's thinking like Gina that got my jock strap clean and Eric Ball who did what God knows what in the lot. I mean, like he's thinking everyone he could think of in the organization except for Zach Taylor. It was pretty obvious a shot at him.
Yep, fair point.
All right, anything on the Bengals? Anything else on the Bengals?
No, it's just the goofy part is we should be talking about how great Joe Flacco has done and how miraculous the things he's doing are, and it's literally a footnote. I mean, the other part that's so goofy is, Rick, this is a disaster. Don't get me wrong. I mean, this defense is on pace for historical to set the all-time record for points allowed, all those things. I don't think it's going to get any better. But you're literally a couple of plays away from being in the bye week 5-4 and feeling good about yourself, right? I mean, it's so as much of a disaster as this is. You're 2 plays away from being 5-4.
Yes, that's correct. And Joe Flacco, who we talked about, wow, what a situation for him. He goes from being on the bench with that terrible Cleveland team to winning that Thursday night game against the Steelers, and he's riding high. And the thing is, Skinny, he's kept playing like that. But now he's right back in turmoil, and the fan base hates everything, and all of this sucks again. What a roller coaster couple of months it's been for Joe Flacco. I just can't imagine living that over the last 2 months.